Everyone said his mother's pills were fine, until the maid read the blue bottle. Clara Bell saw the blue pill bottle before Serena Velluto's fingers closed around it. That was the only reason the morning did not become a lesson in polite cruelty. The breakfast room was full of soft sunlight, white china, silver spoons, and people who had learned to make control sound like concern. Serena sat at the round table near the tall windows, upright in her pale lavender cardigan, one hand resting beside her tea. On the tray before her sat sliced pear, toast cut into neat triangles, a porcelain cup, and the blue bottle with the white label turned half away from the room. Adrian Velluto stood behind his mother's chair in a black three-piece suit and a long black coat he had not removed, as if even breakfast required armor. 2 bodyguards waited near the doors. His cousin Lucia smiled from the opposite side of the table. The private nurse lifted the bottle. "Morning dose," Nurse Bellandy said. Serena reached for it. Clara stepped forward. "Please don't take that one yet." The room stopped in layers. First the nurse. Then Lucia. Then the guards. Last, Adrian. He turned his head slowly, and Clara felt the full weight of the man people crossed streets to avoid. He was 42, clean-shaven, dark-haired, and handsome in a severe way, with the kind of stillness that made other people rush to explain themselves. A heavy signet ring rested on his right hand. His black coat framed his shoulders like a warning. "What did you say?" he asked. Clara kept her eyes on the blue bottle. "I said she should not take that one yet." Lucia gave a soft little laugh that did not reach her eyes. "Clara, sweetheart, breakfast service is already late. Let Nurse Bellandy do her job. I am doing mine." That made Lucia's smile flicker. Clara had worked in the Velluto estate for 11 months, first as a maid, then as the woman Serena kept asking to help with breakfast because Clara remembered which spoon made her wrist ache and which jam gave her heartburn. Nobody had given Clara a better title. Titles were expensive in houses like this, and women below stairs were expected to be grateful for aprons, keys, and silence. But Clara had learned older women long before she came to this house. Her grandmother had kept pills in 3 plastic boxes, 2 drawers, and 1 teacup she swore was not a hiding place. Clara had learned that labels mattered, but patterns mattered more. The right medicine at the wrong hour could turn a clear morning into fog. The correct bottle on the wrong tray could become a lie with a printed label. Nurse Bellandy set the blue bottle down beside the cup. "This is inappropriate," she said. "Mrs. Velluto has taken this medication for months. Not with breakfast." Adrian's gaze sharpened. Serena's hand paused above the table. Lucia leaned back, her pearl bracelet clicking against the chair arm. "You are not qualified to discuss medication. I am qualified to read a label." "Clara," Adrian said. He did not raise his voice. He did not need to. The bodyguards shifted as if his name for her had become an instruction. She looked at him then, because if she looked only at the bottle, he might think she was afraid of him. She was afraid. That did not mean she was wrong. "The label says evening," she said. Nurse Bellandy's face tightened. "It is the same medication." "The bottle is real," Clara said. "The tray is lying." The sentence landed harder than she expected. Serena looked from Clara to the bottle. Adrian did not move. Lucia's laugh became thinner. "That is a dramatic way to say you misread a bottle." Clara reached for the tray. The nearest guard took 1 step. Adrian lifted 2 fingers. The guard stopped. Clara did not touch Serena. She did not touch the pill itself. She picked up the blue bottle by its sides, turned the label toward Adrian, and placed it in the empty space between the cup and the folded napkin. "Read the second line." Lucia inhaled, offended on behalf of the room. Adrian looked down. His face did not change at first. Then his eyes narrowed. "Evening use," he read. "The morning bottle has a green stripe on the cap," Clara said. "This one has blue. Yesterday's evening bottle was stored in the tea cabinet after dinner because Mrs. Velluto said the bedroom tray smelled like polish. I put it there myself." Nurse Bellandy folded her arms. "The color system is for staff convenience, not medical instruction." "Then why does the morning bottle have a green stripe?" "Because I marked it." "And who moved the evening bottle to the breakfast tray?" Silence. It was not the frightened kind yet. It was the calculating kind. Serena's voice entered gently. "Clara, are you certain?" Clara turned to her, softening because Serena had asked like a woman, not like a house. "No, ma'am. Not enough to accuse anyone. Enough to wait." The answer did what certainty could not. It made Serena lower her hand. Adrian saw that too. "Nobody touches the tray," he said. The room obeyed. Lucia's smile disappeared completely. "Adrian, this is absurd. Your mother has a family breakfast in 20 minutes, and the trustees are already arriving. You cannot let a maid turn her routine into a courtroom." "My mother's breakfast became a courtroom the moment everyone in it told her to swallow without reading." Clara looked at him. She had expected anger. She had not expected accuracy. Nurse Bellandy picked up her folder from the sideboard. Mr. Velluto, I have signed medication records. If your household staff wants to interfere with care, I will need that recorded. Good, Clara said. Everyone turned to her again. She hated that part. She hated being seen only after danger made her useful. Still, useful was better than quiet. Record it, Clara said. Write that Mrs. Velluto did not take the blue bottle at breakfast because the label said evening, the cap stripe was wrong, and the tray number did not match the kitchen card. Adrian's eyes moved to the tray. Tray number? Clara pointed to the small cream card tucked under the folded napkin. Breakfast tray 2. Mrs. Velluto's is usually breakfast tray 1. Lucia's expression turned carefully blank. Nurse Bellandy said, the kitchen mixes trays all the time. Not Mrs. Velluto's. You cannot know every tray. No, Clara said. I know hers. Serena's mouth curved very slightly. It was not amusement. It was recognition. That small change gave Clara enough courage to reach for the napkin card. She slid it out, keeping it flat on the table so no one could accuse her of hiding anything. Breakfast tray 2. Tea, no lemon. Toast, butter only. Medication, blue bottle. Clara took the card from the previous morning out of her apron pocket. She had kept it because Serena had liked the pear slices cut thin and Clara wanted to remind the kitchen. Breakfast tray 1. Tea, honey, no lemon. Toast, apricot. Medication, green stripe. This is yesterday's card, Clara said. Same table. Same time. Different tray number, different bottle, different tea. Adrian held out his hand. He did not snatch. That restraint mattered, though Clara wished it did not. She placed both cards on the table. He read them once. Then again. The room waited for his temper. Clara waited for his question. He looked at Nurse Bellandy. Who prepared the medication tray? I signed it. That is not what I asked. The nurse's mouth tightened. Lucia stood. This is ridiculous. Aunt Serena is tired, and your staff is making her anxious. Serena's hand moved. Not much. Just 2 fingers lifting from the table, the way a woman signals when she has spent decades being interrupted politely. Clara saw it. Adrian did not. Not because he did not love his mother. Because love, in men like him, often arrived with guards and missed the smaller gestures. Clara spoke before she could stop herself. She wants to say something. Adrian turned back to his mother. Serena lowered her hand at once, embarrassed by being exposed. Mama? Serena looked at Clara first. That frightened Clara more than Adrian's anger had. Trust was a heavier thing than fear. The blue one made my hands cold last night, Serena said. The nurse's face changed. Only for a second. But Clara saw it. Adrian saw Clara see it. What do you mean, cold? He asked. Serena touched the edge of her cardigan sleeve. After dinner. My hands felt cold, and my thoughts became slow. I told Lucia I did not want to take it so late again. Lucia stepped closer. You were tired. It was a long day. I was tired, Serena said. I was not confused. The words were quiet. They cut the room anyway. Adrian's jaw hardened. Why was I not told? Because you were in the East office with the trustees, Lucia said quickly. And it passed. Everything passes if people wait long enough, Clara said. Lucia looked at her like she had forgotten maids could form sentences with edges. Adrian did not look away from his mother. Did you ask not to take it? Serena looked down at the blue bottle. I asked what it was for. Nurse Bellandy said it was prescribed. That is not an answer, Clara said. This time even Adrian looked at her with warning. Clara held his gaze. It isn't. The private nurse closed her folder. Mr. Velluto, I will not be insulted by household staff. Then answer the household staff. No one breathed for a moment. Clara felt the sentence move through the breakfast room and rearrange every chair. Nurse Bellandy looked at Adrian, then at Serena, then at Lucia. That last glance was small. Not small enough. Adrian's hand came down on the back of his mother's chair. Not touching Serena. Claiming the room. Kitchen, he said. One word. Both guards straightened. Clara stepped toward the door before anyone told her to, then stopped because she had learned not to walk in front of men like him unless invited. Adrian noticed. Miss Bell. She turned. You know the trays? Yes. Then you lead. It should not have felt like anything. It did. Clara led them through the west corridor, past framed oil paintings, marble floors, and windows washed in pale morning light. Behind her came Adrian, Serena, Lucia, Nurse Bellandy, and 2 guards who looked unhappy about following a maid down her own route. The kitchen service area changed the air. It smelled of toast, coffee, cut pear, and metal warming covers. Staff froze when Adrian entered. A spoon clattered somewhere near the sink. The head cook crossed himself with the hand holding a towel. No one is in trouble for telling the truth, Adrian said. Nobody believed him. Clara could not blame them. Truth had a terrible survival rate in houses with this many locked doors. She moved to the tray shelf. Mrs. Velluto's morning tray is always set here because she likes the east room light, and the east route keeps the tea hot. Tray 1. Green card. Green stripe. Apricot toast unless she asks otherwise. I asked for pear today, Serena said. Clara smiled faintly. Yes, ma'am. Thin slices. They were lovely. Thank you. That tiny exchange did more damage to Lucia's calm than any accusation. Clara lifted the empty tray slot marker. The metal tag beneath it read 1. Beside it, slot 2 still held a spare linen square and a teacup with a hairline chip near the handle. This morning's card came from slot 2, Clara said. Nurse Bellandy said, a kitchen mistake. Maybe. Clara looked at the chipped cup. She picked it up and turned the handle toward Adrian. Mrs. Velluto never gets this cup. Why? The chip catches on her ring. Serena lifted her right hand. A pearl ring sat there, soft and old, nothing like Lucia's sharp diamonds. I hate that cup, Serena said. The cook whispered, she does. Adrian looked at the cook. Name. Marco, sir. Who set tray 2? Marco swallowed. It was already half set when I came in. Teacup, linen, card. I thought Miss Clara changed the order. Did she? No, sir. I didn't ask. Clara did not look at him. She knew the shape of that fear. People below stairs survived by not asking why the wrong thing appeared in the right place. Adrian did not shout. That made the kitchen more afraid. Who was here before you? Marco's eyes went toward Nurse Bellandy. Then away. Adrian saw that too. Say it. Marco's mouth opened. Lucia spoke first. Adrian, you are terrorizing the kitchen over a bottle that was never swallowed. Clara turned. That is the only reason we can still talk about it calmly. Lucia's face went red. You are a maid. Yes. Then remember where you are. Clara looked around the kitchen, the tray shelf, the chipped cup, the cards, the staff holding their breath. I know exactly where I am. Something shifted in Adrian's face. Not softness. Attention. Marco, Adrian said. The cook's voice shook. Nurse Bellandy was here before me, sir. Miss Lucia too. I was told Mrs. Velluto needed the blue bottle because the trustees were coming and she should be calm. Serena's expression went still. Not confused. Not fragile. Still. Calm, she repeated. Lucia's bracelet clicked again. You are twisting this. Aunt Serena becomes anxious before business discussions. It is kindness to make mornings easier. For whom? Clara asked. Adrian's eyes cut to her. She had gone too far. She knew it. But Serena's hand had tightened on the handle of her cane, and no one else seemed willing to name what politeness was doing. Lucia's smile returned, brittle and bright. For everyone. That is usually who control helps least, Clara said. The kitchen went silent enough to hear rain begin against the service windows. Nurse Bellandy placed her folder on the prep table. I will not continue this without professional respect. Clara opened the folder before the nurse could stop her. The nearest guard moved again. Adrian said, let her. The folder held printed charts, tidy signatures, dosage boxes, and enough professional language to intimidate anyone who had not spent years reading tiny labels for elderly women who trusted memory more than doctors' handwriting. Clara scanned the morning line. Then the evening line. Her finger stopped. The initials are wrong. Nurse Bellandy stepped forward. They are mine. No. Yesterday evening's initials are yours. This morning's initials look like yours if someone was copying from above. Lucia laughed. Now she is a handwriting expert. No, Clara said. I am a woman who has signed enough delivery slips while people rushed me to know when someone copies letters slowly. Adrian came beside her. Close enough that the kitchen air seemed to change temperature. He looked down at the chart. Show me. Clara pointed to the B in Bellandy. Here. On the real signature, the bottom loop is smaller because she writes fast. On this one, both loops are equal. Nurse Bellandy's jaw set. That proves nothing. No. It asks a better question. Adrian looked at Clara. Which is? Who needed Mrs. Velluto slow at breakfast, but not harmed enough to raise alarm? Nobody answered. The question stood in the kitchen like a third guard. Serena's voice came from behind them. The villa vote. Lucia turned sharply. Aunt Serena. Serena did not look at her. She looked at her son. Your father left me the Villa Sarah voting rights because he knew you would protect the empire and forget the house. Adrian's face changed so quickly Clara almost looked away. There were wounds that did not bleed because families learned to dress them in money. Mama, he said. Do not mama me like I am porcelain. The kitchen staff looked at the floor. Clara did not. Serena lifted her chin. The trustees wanted my consent to move the villa under the foundation. Lucia has said for weeks it would be easier if I did not tire myself reading every page. Adrian turned slowly toward Lucia. Lucia's composure held, but only because women like her trained it daily. The foundation protects the property, she said. The old villa is expensive, and Aunt Serena becomes emotional about it. We were helping. By making her calm, Clara said. By keeping her from distress. Distress is not the same as consent. Adrian looked at Clara again. This time the warning was gone. Something else stood in its place. He had guards, lawyers, cars, and men who would do unspeakable things if he asked quietly enough. Yet in that kitchen, with rain tapping the glass and a blue pill bottle sitting on a silver tray, he looked like a man who had just realized power could miss the smallest betrayal in its own house. What do you need? He asked. Lucia blinked. Nurse Bellandy went pale. Clara felt every staff member hear the question. What do you need? Not what did you do? Not who allowed you. The tea cabinet, Clara said. Yesterday's evening tray card. The pill box from Mrs. Velluto's sitting room. And Mrs. Velluto's permission before anyone opens it. Adrian's hand tightened once on the edge of the prep table. The old version of him might have opened every drawer himself. Instead, he turned to his mother. Do you want Clara to read it again? The words were simple. The room was not. Serena stared at him. For a moment she looked less like the elegant mother of a dangerous man and more like a woman who had waited years for her son to ask instead of decide. Yes, she said. Adrian nodded. Then she reads it again. That was the moment the house changed. Not loudly. Not enough for the portraits upstairs to fall. But enough for Clara to feel the floor settle under her feet. She read the bottle again, slowly, while Serena watched the label and nodded. She read the tray card. She read the medication chart. She did not add conclusions where facts were enough. She did not use words she could not defend. Then Serena held out her hand. The sitting room pill box is mine, she said. Clara may open it. Adrian did not reach for the key. He waited while Serena took it from the small chain at her wrist and gave it to Clara. Lucia looked as if that small transfer had insulted her more than any accusation. They returned to Serena's sitting room, a warm blue space full of books, framed photographs, and the faint scent of orange peel. It was the only room in the estate that did not seem designed to impress strangers. A basket of knitting sat beside the chair. A half-finished letter lay on the desk. On the side table stood the wooden pill box, divided into morning and evening compartments with Serena's own handwritten labels. Clara opened it. The morning compartment was full. The evening compartment was empty. Serena exhaled. I knew I had not taken the morning one. Lucia said, people forget. Yes, Serena said. And people count on that. Clara lifted the morning strip carefully. Green stripe. Correct bottle. Still sealed. She placed it beside the blue bottle on the tray. 2 bottles. Same pharmacy. Same family name. Different stripe. Different time. Different purpose. Adrian stared at them like he wanted to destroy both, but destruction would not explain anything. Who had access? He asked. Nurse Bellandy folded her hands. Mrs. Velluto, myself, Clara if she helps in the sitting room, and family. I did not touch the box this morning, Clara said. Convenient, Lucia murmured. Clara looked at her. Yes. Truth often is, when it does not have to carry your perfume. Serena made a sound into her tea napkin. It might have been a cough. It was not. Adrian's mouth moved once and stopped. Lucia's eyes flashed. How dare you? You were in the kitchen before Marco, Clara said. He said so. Your perfume is on the tray card. My perfume is everywhere in this house. No, Clara said. Your perfume is expensive enough to think it is everywhere. It isn't. That was the wrong thing to say to a woman who needed superiority like oxygen. Lucia stepped toward Clara. Adrian moved first. Not between them. Beside his mother. The distinction mattered. Lucia, he said. One word. She stopped. Clara picked up the tray card and held it near Serena's orange peel bowl. Mrs. Velluto keeps orange peel here. The tray card from yesterday smells like tea and orange. This morning's card smells like Lucia's perfume and cold cabinet. Nurse Bellandy said, this is nonsense. Then why are you sweating? The nurse's hand went to her collar. Adrian saw that too. He saw everything now because Clara had taught him where to look. Bring the breakfast room staff, he told a guard. Adrian, Lucia said. No. The word was not loud. It closed every other door. For the next 30 minutes, the sitting room became a place where truth arrived in aprons, uniforms, and shaking voices. Marco from the kitchen repeated what he had seen. A footman admitted Lucia had asked whether Serena's morning tray could be made simpler. A junior maid said Nurse Bellandy had taken the blue bottle from the tea cabinet before breakfast, then returned with Lucia to the service hall. Nobody said poison. Clara was glad. That was not the story, and making it bigger would make it easier for powerful people to dismiss. The truth was smaller. Colder. Serena had been managed. Not killed. Not struck. Managed. Made slower at the exact hour when her signature and voice mattered. In some houses, control did not need blood. It needed a bottle in the wrong place and a room full of people willing to call it care. Adrian listened to every statement. He did not pace. He did not shout. Each silence made Lucia look more trapped. At last, Serena lifted a hand. Everyone stopped. This time Adrian saw it. Mama? Serena looked at the 2 bottles on the table. I would like breakfast, she said. The sentence should have been ordinary. In that room, it sounded like a declaration of independence. Adrian nodded. Of course. And I will attend the trustee breakfast. Lucia said, Aunt Serena, after all this, you should rest. Serena looked at her niece with the kind of sadness that had survived love. You have mistaken rest for disappearance. Clara lowered her eyes. Not because she was ashamed. Because Serena deserved the room. Adrian turned to a guard. Have the trustees seated. Nobody begins until my mother arrives. And the nurse? Lucia asked, too quickly. Nurse Bellandy stiffened. Adrian looked at Serena. Not at Clara. Not at the nurse. At Serena. What do you want done with Nurse Bellandy? Serena's eyes filled, but no tears fell. Clara admired that. She also hated that women were praised for not crying after being cornered. She leaves my rooms, Serena said. Today. Her records remain here. Adrian nodded once. Done. And Lucia? Serena asked. Lucia's face changed, a flash of panic beneath pearls. Adrian's jaw tightened. He wanted to answer. Clara saw it. So did Serena. Mother and son looked at each other across years of protection that had sometimes become a prettier cage. Then Adrian said, You tell me. Serena's shoulders lowered. Lucia may attend the breakfast, she said. She may hear me vote while clear. Clara felt the beauty of that choice before the danger. It was not revenge. It was witness. The trustee breakfast took place in the East dining room, where the table was long enough to make ordinary families seem fictional. Men in dark suits stood when Serena entered. They looked first at Adrian, then at the bottle tray in Clara's hands, then at Lucia, then back to Serena as if trying to decide which woman had become the storm. Clara carried the tray because Serena had asked her to. Not Adrian. Serena. That made all the difference. On the tray sat 3 things, the sealed green morning bottle, the blue evening bottle, and the 2 breakfast cards. Clara had added nothing dramatic. No red ribbon. No accusation written in ink. Evidence did not need decoration when the room understood what it meant. Adrian pulled out his mother's chair. Serena sat. Lucia sat 2 places away, rigid and pale. Nurse Bellandy was not present. The senior trustee, a narrow man named Fiore, adjusted his glasses. Mrs. Velluto, perhaps we should postpone. You have had a distressing morning. Serena smiled. I have had an informative morning. Clara nearly dropped the tray. Adrian looked down for half a second, and Clara knew he was hiding something too dangerous to be called a smile. Fiore cleared his throat. The Villa Sera Foundation transfer requires only a confirmation of your consent. Then it will not have it. Lucia closed her eyes. The room stilled. Fiore glanced at Adrian. Adrian did nothing. That was the loudest thing he could have done. Mrs. Velluto, Fiore said carefully, the foundation would preserve the property. The property is preserved by my refusal to give it to men who discuss me after breakfast and dose me before it. One trustee dropped his pen. Clara set the tray on the sideboard. She tried to step back into the wall, but Serena turned her head. Clara. Every face followed the name. Clara's spine straightened. Yes, ma'am? Read the 2 labels for the room. Lucia whispered, This is humiliating. Serena looked at her. Yes. 1 word. No apology in it. Clara picked up the green bottle first. Green stripe. Morning use. Breakfast tray 1. Then the blue. Blue stripe. Evening use. It was placed on breakfast tray 2 this morning. Fiore glasses slid down his nose. A mistake, surely. Clara looked at him. Mistakes do not usually forge signatures. The trustee's gaze flicked to Adrian. Adrian's voice came quiet from the head of the table. Listen to her. It was not a request. Clara placed the chart beside the bottles. The morning record was signed before breakfast by someone copying Nurse Bellandy's initials. The true morning bottle was still sealed in Mrs. Velluto's sitting room. The evening bottle had been removed from the tea cabinet and placed on the wrong tray. And your conclusion? Fiore asked. Clara almost answered. Then stopped. The room did not need a maid making Serena's decision for her any more than it needed a son doing the same. She turned to Serena. Serena's eyes warmed. "Thank you," she said. Then she addressed the room herself. "My conclusion is that I am clear enough to vote no." Adrian's hand rested near his signet ring. He did not move it. Fiore swallowed. "Then the foundation transfer fails." "Correct," Serena said. Lucia stood so quickly her chair scraped. "This is madness. You are letting a servant and a bottle destroy years of planning." Clara looked at the blue bottle. Servant and a bottle. There it was. The truth, dressed badly for once. Adrian stood. Every man at the table went still. "My mother made her decision." Because Clara filled her head with suspicion. "No," Serena said. Clara returned my voice to the room. Clara's throat tightened. She hated that too. Not the gratitude. The way it found every place she had trained herself not to need it. Lucia's eyes shone with anger. "You will regret humiliating family." Adrian walked around the table. Slowly. The guards did not move because they did not have to. Family does not dose a woman into silence. I was protecting the villa. You were protecting access. Lucia looked to the trustees for help. None came. Powerful rooms loved strategy until someone named it theft. Adrian stopped beside Clara, not in front of her. "Miss Bell." She looked up. "Did anyone ask your conclusion?" Mr. Fiore did. "And you did not answer." "It was not my vote." For a moment he looked at her as if she had opened another hidden drawer in him. Then he turned to the room. "That is why she remains." Lucia's face whitened. "As what?" Clara braced herself. Men like Adrian liked titles when they wanted to own the people beneath them. He looked at his mother first. "What would you call the position?" Serena considered. "Household care authority." Clara stared at her. "Ma'am, I am not dash." "A doctor?" Serena asked. "No. That is why I trust you not to pretend to be one." A few trustees looked uncomfortable. Good. Comfort had done enough damage. Adrian nodded. "Household care authority," he said. "No medication tray, meal tray, or private care record touches my mother's room without her approval and Miss Bell's check." Clara found her voice. "And Bianca from upstairs staff." Adrian looked at her. "Why?" "Because one woman cannot be a system. That is how houses turn care into obedience again." Serena's smile returned. "I like her." "I noticed," Adrian said. The room did not laugh. It did not know if it was allowed. Clara almost did, and that frightened her more than the guards. After the trustees left and Lucia was escorted to the West Wing to collect her things under watch, the estate seemed to breathe through newly opened windows. Staff moved carefully, but not invisibly. The kitchen whispered. The corridors carried the story faster than any official order could. The blue bottle. The maid. The wrong tray. Mrs. Velluto's no. Clara returned to the breakfast room to clear the abandoned tea because work remained work even after truth became dramatic. She found Adrian standing by the window with the blue bottle in his hand. For one sharp second she thought he had taken it from the tray without asking. Then she saw Serena seated nearby, reading a letter with her glasses low on her nose. "She gave it to me," Adrian said. Clara hated how easily he read that in her face. "Good. You expected me not to ask." "I expected habit." "That is fair." It was not defensive. That made it harder to stand there. Clara gathered the cold toast plates. "You should not keep that in your hand too long." "Why?" "Because objects become symbols in houses like this, and symbols make men stop checking facts." Serena lowered her letter. "She is right." Adrian looked at the bottle. "Then what should I do with it?" Clara stacked the plates. "Seal it. Label it. Keep it where your mother can see it if she wants, not where guests can admire your anger." Serena made that almost laughing sound again. Adrian watched Clara over the blue glass. "And you?" "I have dishes." "After dishes." The question underneath the question stood there between them, too carefully dressed. Clara did not pick it up. "After dishes, I write the new tray system with Mrs. Velluto." "And after that?" Serena said. "Adrian." He looked at his mother. "Ask plainly, or do not ask." Clara's hands tightened around the plates. Adrian took the correction like a man accepting a blade by the handle. Then he looked at Clara. "Would you have breakfast with me tomorrow?" Clara blinked. "Not dinner. Not diamonds. Not a black card. Breakfast." The battlefield he had almost lost. "In this room?" she asked. "If you choose." "With your mother?" "If she chooses." Serena did not look up from her letter. "I choose not to supervise my son's manners unless necessary." Clara bit the inside of her cheek. Adrian's eyes warmed, barely. "Plain breakfast," Clara said. "Plain breakfast. No trastis. No trastis. No medication trays on the table unless your mother asks." "Agreed." And if you start making rules for me before asking, I leave. Then I will ask before making rules. The callback from the morning should have felt rehearsed. It did not. It felt like a man learning where not to put his hands. Clara looked at Serena. Serena turned a page with terrible innocence. One breakfast, Clara said. One breakfast, Adrian answered. 2 days later, the blue pill bottle rested in a clear evidence box inside Serena Velluto's sitting room. Not hidden. Not displayed for guests. Placed on the small shelf beside the orange peel bowl, where Serena could point to it whenever a visitor used the word concern too smoothly. The label faced outward. Evening use. Beside it sat the green-striped morning bottle, sealed and correct, not as evidence of danger but as evidence that ordinary things worked when people were allowed to read them. Clara stood on a small step stool, updating the tray card shelf near Serena's writing desk. The new cards were cream, green, and blue. Serena had insisted on choosing the colors herself. Adrian stood near the open door. Not in the doorway. Near it. Learning, apparently, was a slow but visible disease. The trustees sent a revised foundation proposal, he said. Clara kept writing. Did they use bigger print? Yes. Margins? Wider. Consent line? Separate page. Mrs. Velluto's choice? Serena answered from her chair. Still no. Clara smiled down at the card. Excellent. Adrian looked at the blue bottle. Lucia left for Palermo this morning. That is not my business. No. He paused. I wanted you to know she cannot return to this house without my mother's permission. Clara turned then. Adrian's face was calm, but not cold. His black suit looked the same as it had at breakfast, his ring heavy, his posture dangerous. Yet the room no longer bent around him in quite the same way. Or maybe Clara no longer bent. Your mother's permission, she said. Yes. Serena lifted her teacup. He is improving. Slowly, Clara said. Cruel, Adrian murmured. Accurate. He accepted that too. Clara stepped down from the stool. Her apron pocket held 3 blank tray cards and the pencil Serena preferred because it did not smear. She placed them on the desk, beside the orange peel bowl and the blue bottle behind glass. Adrian held out a folded paper. Clara looked at it. What is that? Your authority letter. I said Bianca should be included. She is. And Serena signs her own care approvals. She does. And staff can stop a tray without being fired. Written in the second paragraph. Clara took the paper. The second paragraph said exactly that. The third said no private medical or care record could be altered without Serena's verbal approval and a written staff witness. The fourth said Clara Bell reported directly to Serena Velluto on household care matters. Not to Adrian. To Serena. Clara looked up. Adrian watched her read it, and for once he looked almost uncertain. You wrote this? My lawyer wrote it. Her expression flattened. After I told him what you said, Adrian added quickly. Serena laughed outright. It was a small laugh, but it filled the sitting room like sunlight. Clara folded the paper once. Better. Only better? You are a dangerous man receiving feedback in a sitting room. Do not become greedy. Serena laughed again. Adrian's mouth moved. This time it became a real smile, brief and devastating enough that Clara immediately decided not to reward it. She put the paper in her apron pocket. The first test will not wait, Serena said. Clara turned. Serena was looking toward the corridor, where male voices had begun to gather with the lazy confidence of men who believed rooms prepared themselves before they entered. Clara heard the scrape of shoes on marble, the low cough of a trustee, the heavier step of Adrian's uncle Tommaso, who had survived 3 decades of family politics by pretending every theft was tradition if spoken slowly enough. Adrian's smile vanished. I told them tomorrow. You told them many things, Serena said. They heard the part that suited them. Clara looked at the new tray cards on the desk. Do you want breakfast moved? Serena considered the question as if tasting it. No. I want breakfast served here. My room. My table. My bottles visible. Adrian's eyes went to his mother first. Then, deliberately, to Clara. Can that be done safely? The old version of the house would have called that question an insult. The new version, still damp and fragile as fresh ink, understood it as respect for work. Clara crossed to the sideboard and lifted the tray cover Serena had not yet used. Yes, if we control the route. Marco brings the food to the hall table. Bianca checks the linen. I check the tray card. Mrs. Velluto checks the bottles before anything touches her place setting. And me? Adrian asked. You stand where you can see the room without blocking your mother's view. Serena's eyes warmed. Excellent. Adrian looked at the doorway, then moved 2 steps to the side wall. It was almost funny. Almost. The most feared man in the estate rearranged himself like furniture because a maid had explained sight lines. Clara did not laugh. She had more sense than that. She also did not hide how much she noticed. When Tommaso Velluto entered with 2 trustees behind him, he saw the scene at once: Serena in her own chair, the blue bottle behind glass, Clara by the sideboard, and Adrian standing to one side instead of looming at his mother's shoulder. His expression registered the change before his manners caught up. "Serena," Tommaso said, spreading his hands. "What a morning you have had." "Yes," Serena said. "I recommend reading labels. It sharpens the appetite." One trustee looked down at his shoes. Clara liked him for that. Tommaso gave the blue bottle a theatrical glance. "Surely we are not making household policy from one unfortunate confusion." "We are making household policy from a pattern," Clara said. Tommaso looked at her as if the sideboard had spoken. "And you are?" Adrian took half a step. Clara saw it. So did Serena. Adrian stopped himself. Good, Clara thought. Painfully good. She answered before anyone could do it for her. "Clara Bell. Household care authority for Mrs. Velluto's rooms, effective as of this morning." Tommaso smiled. It was a warm, patriarchal smile, which Clara had learned could be more dangerous than an open sneer because it asked women to feel rude for surviving it. A large title for a small table. A small bottle nearly changed a large vote. Adrian made a sound so slight that only Clara and Serena heard it. Serena folded her hands in her lap. "Clara, please continue." That sentence did not merely permit Clara to speak. It placed the room under Serena's rule. Clara lifted the cream tray card. "Breakfast tray for Mrs. Velluto. Tea with honey, no lemon. Pear sliced thin. Toast with apricot. Green striped morning bottle sealed, checked by Mrs. Velluto before placement. Blue evening bottle behind glass and not part of breakfast." Tommaso waved a hand. "My dear girl, no one here intends to interfere with Serena's toast." "Then no one will mind hearing the system." "I mind being lectured by servants." There it was. Not hidden in concern now. Just old power, bored by its own honesty. The room tightened around the word servants. Adrian's face changed, and for 1 second Clara saw what other men feared in him: not volume, not temper, but the terrifying economy of a man deciding how much damage was required. His hand lowered to his side. The signet ring caught the light. Clara spoke before he could. "Mrs. Velluto gave me authority to check the tray," she said. "If you disagree, you disagree with her." Tommaso's eyes flicked to Serena. That was the mistake. Not because Serena was fragile. Because she was finished being mistaken for furniture. "You may disagree with me directly, Tommaso," she said. "You have practiced for years in hallways." The trustees became very interested in the curtains. Clara set the card down beside the tray. Tommaso's smile hardened. "This is emotional overreaction. You were frightened by a label, and now a maid holds the household hostage with colored stripes." "No," Clara said. "The colored stripes are not holding anything hostage. They are making it harder to pretend confusion is care." Adrian turned his head toward her. Not with surprise this time. With something steadier. Pride, perhaps, though Clara did not want to name it because named things could become cages if a woman was not careful. Tommaso stepped closer to the sideboard. "Show me the morning bottle." Clara did not move. "Ask Mrs. Velluto. I am her brother-in-law." "That is not a key." The words left her mouth cleanly, and the room seemed to enjoy them before remembering fear. Serena covered her mouth with 2 fingers. Adrian looked at the floor. He was definitely hiding a smile now. Tommaso's face darkened. "Adrian." Adrian looked up. "Yes? Are you allowing this?" The question was a trap designed by an older generation. If Adrian said yes, Tommaso could call him bewitched by staff. If he said no, Serena's new authority would die before the breakfast tray reached the table. Adrian did neither. He looked at his mother. "Mama, do you want Tommaso to handle the bottle?" Serena's answer was immediate. "No." Adrian turned back. Then no. Clara felt the quiet after that answer settle into her bones. He had not protected her by overruling the room. He had protected Serena's choice by asking for it. That was better, and better was more dangerous to Clara than grand gestures because it was the sort of thing a woman could begin to trust. Marco arrived with the food then, pale but steady. Bianca followed with fresh linen and a second card. Clara checked each item in view of the room, not because she wanted an audience, but because secrecy was where this house had learned to do harm politely. "Tea. Honey. No lemon. Pear slices thin enough for Serena's liking. Apricot toast." Green striped bottle, sealed, placed at the top right of the tray but not opened. Clara turned the label toward Serena. Serena read it aloud. "Morning use. Do you want it with breakfast?" Clara asked. Serena took a breath. "After tea." Clara moved the bottle to the side. No one died. No room collapsed. No empire fell because an older woman chose the order of her own morning. That, Clara thought, was the part men never understood. Control often called itself strength because it had never had to watch what happened when ordinary people were trusted with ordinary choices. Tommaso watched in silence while Serena ate 3 pear slices and half a triangle of toast. The trustees said nothing useful, which was still better than what they had said before. When the bottle was finally opened, Serena held it herself. Clara watched. Adrian watched Clara watching, and this time she did not mind. After Serena swallowed the correct morning pill with tea, she set the cup down and looked at Tommaso. Now, she said, you may tell me why you came before tomorrow. Tommaso's answer was smaller than his entrance. He had wanted, of course, to discuss the foundation again while the household was unsettled. He had hoped, of course, that Serena might see reason after emotion cooled. He had brought, of course, a revised document with no transfer page, only a temporary administrative authorization that sounded gentle until Clara asked where the revocation clause sat. It sat on the back. In pale ink. Beside a coffee stain someone had tried to blot. Clara did not laugh when she saw it. She wanted to. Instead, she turned the paper around and placed it before Serena. This one is not a breakfast item, she said, but it is also wearing the wrong face. Serena read the clause. Adrian read it after her. Tommaso said nothing. The trustees, who had learned quickly that silence could preserve careers, pretended the rug required study. Serena tore the paper once. Not dramatically. Just enough to split the signature line. No, she said. Clara took the torn paper and placed it beside the blue bottle's evidence box. Different object. Same lesson. Adrian looked at the torn line, then at Clara. You were right, he said quietly. About what? The bottle was not the only problem. It was the first visible one. And you saw it. Clara met his eyes. Your mother saw plenty. She just needed the room to stop correcting her before she finished speaking. The words should have angered him. They did not. He absorbed them as if they belonged with the new tray cards, the green stripe, the blue bottle, the open door. Then the room will learn, he said. Tommaso left soon after. Not escorted, exactly. Guided by 2 guards who understood the difference only in legal terms. The trustees followed with revised expressions and untouched coffee. Marco removed the plates. Bianca refolded the linen with the satisfaction of a woman who had watched a system take its first breath and not immediately fail. When the room finally emptied, Serena leaned back and closed her eyes. Clara stepped forward. Are you tired? Yes. Adrian moved. Serena opened one eye. Do not begin. He stopped. Clara pressed her lips together. Serena pointed at her. Do not laugh either. I would never. Liar. Adrian's shoulders moved once. The sound he made was not quite a laugh, but it was close enough that Clara looked at him despite herself. For a moment, with the evidence box catching light beside his mother's orange peel bowl and the torn authorization paper lying harmless on the side table, Adrian Velluto looked less like a man built from threat and more like a son learning that love could stand in the room without taking over. Clara looked away first. Work, she reminded herself, had saved her more reliably than wonder. Still, when Adrian carried the empty tray to the hall table himself, awkward with the handles and careful not to tip the cup, she let herself enjoy it for exactly 3 seconds. You are holding it wrong, she said. He looked down. Of course I am. Left hand under the base. He adjusted. Like this? Better. Serena, eyes still closed, said, he is trainable. Clara said, slowly. Adrian looked at her over the tray. But I learn. This time, Clara did reward the smile. Only a little. Breakfast tomorrow, he asked. You already asked. I am confirming. That sounds like making rules. Would you like breakfast tomorrow? Clara looked at the blue bottle, then at Serena, then at the man who had learned that asking could be more dangerous than ordering because asking required waiting for the answer. Yes, she said. Adrian nodded once. No triumph. No possession. Only relief, controlled so tightly it almost passed for discipline. On the shelf, the blue pill bottle caught the morning light. It was small. Ordinary. Almost pretty. That was what made it useful. Beautiful rooms could hide ugly choices. Polite voices could turn theft into care. A printed label could become a weapon if everyone in power preferred not to read it. But Clara had read it. Serena had chosen. And Adrian Velluto, the most feared man in the house, had learned to stop before deciding. The blue bottle stayed behind glass. Serena's voice did not.